Gotta ride the wave, and that's exactly what Cloud9 Academy did in game number 1, taking a extremely convincing win over AOE GT. But you know, it is a little bit of queue time till we do get into that second game of the series. So as always, we have a little fun gameplay today, and as our last AM team here, right, with AOE GT, thought it was fitting to do a Who's That Academy player, but this time it's Who's That PG player? Woo! And we have chosen one player from each side that I have gotten some trivia about, and I'm gonna, start off with one of them. We'll get through all the trivia. If you have any questions or things you want to talk about that trivia, you can. And at the end, you'll guess who the player is. Again, I have 2 of them ready, one from each side. So are you guys
that's a big hint.
ready to go?
Hint.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Okay.
All right,
Let's go.
First player. Let's go ahead and bring it up. Who's that Proving Grounds player?
Skamsu.
Whoa! It's not like that anymore, all right? Entire NA competitive experience has been with Cloud9. That is our first piece of trivia. Again, entire NA competitive experience has been with Cloud9. Now,
hold on, he's got more.
Yeah, I got more. Hold on, hold your horses there, mister.
Yeah.
We ain't on the range yet. Once was moved down from starting roster in OCE because he was too young. So that gives some extra context, gives some extra fire, extra fuel. Has one competitive pentakill. That's it. Has one competitive pentakill, which actually is a stat that follows a lot more players than you would think. Spent time in the LCS, obviously. That's a lot of these players as well.
Doesn't narrow it down.
Doesn't narrow it down. Loves all of the Senna changes. Absolutely adores them. If you can't tell my sarcasm, then I'm sorry. And looks up to the likes of Uzi and Ruler as ADCs and has inspiration.
All right. Okay. I think I figured it out.
Yeah.
Who could it be?
I wanted to be known. As soon as you said Cloud9 entire competitive experience in NA, King.
Absolutely. It is Cloud9 Academy ADC King. And going back through those trivia marks, we have entire NA competitive experience has been with Cloud9. It has been. Once was moved down from the starting roster in OS because he was too young, but then was promoted right back when he was of age. Has the one competitive pentakill. It was in OS on Xayah.
Woo.
And spent time in the LCS, although he had one of the weirdest experiences, I feel like, in terms of his shift last split, this split, all the kind of different changes he went through. On his Twitter, he's very vocal about not liking the Senna changes at all. And obviously looks up to Uzi and Ruler, 2 of the best ADCs in the entire world. So got to give some props to Cloud9 Academy King.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised, Mark, that you didn't think that Shaden kind of qualified from that, but it's also been like a long time for a lot of these players, and I don't feel like a lot of, obviously Poppy played a little bit for 100 Thieves, and Darshan has played for like CLG in the past, but has Destiny played for another LCS org?
Immortals.
Oh, true. That's right. Okay, well there you go.
That's the difference maker.
I had to figure it out.
We live on broadcast. I like it. But now we got to move on to the second player that I have now. It is
Skamsu.
Throwing you a whoa! No, he just won. Stop it. Now we have my second player here, starting off with the trivia. First competitive team was called Life Support. Probably already gives that one away.
Yeah.
Has one competitive pentakill. Look at that, another one, which I think is actually crazy. Placed first in 2021 Scouting Grounds on Team Mountain. Has been around a lot of the big moments and memories across NAAM and Academy. He also plays tennis, loves to watch basketball. He is also an aspiring TikToker. Who could this person be for AOE GT?
First team Life Support. I only know of 2 players on this roster who have played for that. That is Wixie and Captain Trimps, but I also think Captain Trimps played for somebody before that. So I'm pretty sure this is Wixie on his revenge tour.
Could it be?
He's also
Rafa,
he's a hell of a TikToker, let's be real.
My microphone was muted! What?
Oh no!
Wixie.
All right, it is the AOE GT ADC. It is Wixie again on his revenge tour, hoping to make that so here tonight against Cloud9 Academy. But gotta throw some love to the man Wixie, right? Going back through some of the trivia, first competitive team was Life Support on Lolpedia, right? It has it for 3 days, so that was a kind of a technicality. And then he went back to life support after a couple months. Has the one competitive pentakill, was on No Org this summer, actually, and placed first 2021 Scouting Grounds on Team Mountain, was with the likes of Perry, Dragoon, Five Fire, and Daption. Has been around a lot of them big moments and memories for NA, AM, and Academy. We've seen with all the clips, all the talking we've done about this guy, he has been integral. We actually did a player survey last split to see some behind the scenes information. That's where we found out he does like to play tennis, and also where we found out he wants more ideas for TikTok.
It's just copy all of the Dignitas poses.
Have you seen one of his most iconic TikToks, guys?
No.
Which one?
It's the with the audio. I know you're obsessed with me.
Oh, I think I remember that one actually.
Yeah, that's a banger. That's a banger right there. I'll have to find it and send
We'll
you guys.
have to post it on Path to LCS.
Wixie might hate me for that.
He might hate you. He might hate you for that one. But
I'll do it if they win. I'll do it if they win. That way they're in good spirits.
That's good looking out. Good looking out. But that was our little fun game for Q time. Now we got to hone back into this series because AOE GT 1 game away from being knocked down into the lower bracket. We were setting them up. This could be a crazy monumental moment, but Cloud9 Academy are the ones that have picked up the torch here and already run it into that land, Joshi.
And we only really saw one moment at which we felt as though AGT had an opportunity to find their avenue into this game because of how much pressure Cloud9 was putting in the top side, how well they control Captain Shrimps, and it was the bottom lane fight where they get the first kill and then King runs over them, right? And it was so close, right? If they get out with that one kill, if they don't get any resets over to Wixie, there was an opportunity here, not Wixie, for King. It felt like there was an opportunity for AGT to come out ahead in the play, but we never really saw them really take control. Well, they did get Darshan. They never made repeat visits, and there wasn't a whole lot of opportunities to them. It just felt like they were a little bit slow to almost every play. And while we saw that Keel had a couple of fun bush cheeses, that's not enough. You got to be able to get enough people killed in order to actually take some of these objectives, and that never happened for AOE.
Yeah, it actually was very interesting the way they tried to approach this, and a lot of the things came down to just minute execution, minute decision making, and it just seemed to be the dominoes leaning the way of Cloud9 Academy. But to some extent, you can't call that luck. It's skill. It's decision making from some of those veteran pieces. Not only that, but you know, the likes of Shaden and Copy as well, Rafa.
I mean, Shaden, I was super impressed with just being able to execute the gameplay that you need to do as a jungler in order to shut down AOE Ginger Turmerics, especially when Keel is a reputed Fiddlesticks player or Karthus player, someone that wants to spend a majority of his time farming and getting resources. And a lot of the ways that you play against these junglers, it's not necessarily a specific champion counter pick, but you need lanes that give you push, give you priority, so you have the freedom and you have the support to collapse and force the enemy jungler out without fear that you're going to get collapsed on by the enemy laners coming in as well. And this made Keel's job very hard to do later on into the game. I don't think we ever saw a Crow Storm that was massively game-changing. There was a couple that got a kill or two, but it wasn't anything momentum-changing for AGT positively.
And it's one of those things where we look at Captain Shrimps and look at his champion pool and say a lot of traditional mid laners would have had a field day with the way that these Crow Storms have been set up. And this isn't a knock against Captain Shrimps. I actually love the fact that he plays all of these different styles of champions. But, you know, if you're going to play standard, a lot of the champions that he does don't play standard. You have to play a very different style. And Cloud9, again, they are playing in such a way that's like, we're going to show up to objectives. We don't necessarily have to do anything fancy with any of our team fights. And there weren't actually very many moments like, you know, there's one or two where we could point to where like Shaden instantly knocks Keel out of the fight with a Keeper's Verdict. But there weren't very many moments of Cloud9 just being like, bam, execute. We are going to outplay you every step of the way. It was pretty, you know, we line up, we have more friends, and we're able to take you down every time.
The Pirates telling me and calling me away. Champ Select is ready to go, so let's kick it off for game number 2.
Bye, Lennon.
I didn't realize Mad Magical was in Mazil's ear for the producer. You know, that's the only pirate that I know. Is our producer Joey also a pirate?
I don't know, we're all pirates on this blessed day.
Oh
so-
God! I heard a yarg in my ear. Okay, okay.
Yar.
Oh, okay. Well, Gangplank has made it from the bans list and into our production ears for the rest of the game, Josh. So this is going to be tricky.
Yeah, and this is an interesting spot, right? Because I remember earlier on when AOE GT took down 100 Thieves, we said it was, or you said, Mark, that it was the biggest upset in Proving Grounds history. And since then, we've argued that, it's still at least a top 3, if maybe not the #1. But AOE responded back like, how bad did you guys think we were, right? Was this like a situation where we were just going to get blown away by the Academy team? And this is closer to what I think most of us were expecting with 100 Thieves going up against AGT, but AGT turned that around. They attacked Tenacity in particular, but Keel needs to be a bit more proactive. You need to see Captain Shrimps also able to respond to some of these plays that are happening up in the top side. And Cloud9, it seems very obvious. They just say, yeah, we don't necessarily need to do anything else as long as we get one lane really far ahead and don't give any room on the rest of the map. You're going to be able to find a lot of these wins. And Cloud9, that's something that they've been doing this entire summer, executed on it, and there wasn't a way back for AGT.
And Cloud9 are returning to the same drawing board, at least for the bans. They know their strategy was not broken, or if it's, not broken in the positive route, but, broken in like, hey, it's working well, so we don't need to change anything up. AOE and Turmeric, they're the ones forced to take away the Talia from Copy, one of the tools that C9 Academy used so well to diffuse and turn around a lot of collapses and plays from AGT in the mid game.
Ooh, Xin Zhao. If they go back to playing a more ooh. Okay, well, AOE are going for a much more standard style of play. I actually suspect that this Ashe is going to be going over to Duo King rather than to Wixie, but the Xin Zhao is not necessarily going to have the greatest time into the Poppy. It's not going to have the greatest time in like upsetting the balance of power. It's still playing into this fairly standard way that Cloud9 have been able to demonstrate a lot of pressure. And so far, AGT, well, they were able to beat 100 Thieves and Immortals with a little bit more standard play. Cloud9 is a different beast. They're another level. This is a team where a lot of these players could be playing in LCS tomorrow and nobody would bat an eye. AGT are going to try and beat them at the macro game that Cloud9 just played in Game 1. And from what I've seen, I'm not convinced that AGT will be able to match them. So I'm waiting for what other tricks they have left in their pockets. Do they have anything for Captain Shrimps that can really upset the balance of power that will allow him to take down Copy?
As one of your favorite champions once said, the balance of power must be reserved. Or preserved.
Preserved.
Preserved. Important emphasis on the P.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Good. Keeping you on your toes. But the idea for Keel is that if AGT are not strong enough in the early game throughout the laners to support a champion that needs time to farm and to be unthreatened by invades in the first few minutes of the game or the first couple of clears, then Keel's saying, all right, guys, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to give myself a little bit more agency in the early game. I can fend for myself in case Shaden wants to invade me, and there's not as much reward for invading me anyway. But now it means I need you guys to be the ones that I invest a lot of my time into. I'm going to be propping you up. I'm going to be setting you up for success.
Yeah, and we're already seeing TFT set 1, the Glacials coming through down here in the bottom lane for AGT. We are going to be seeing Duo King being put on the Braum, and these champions are pretty darn good into the Kalista as well, right? They both have slows, they both reduce their ability for Kalista to actually play, because it's the only champion in the game where you slow their attack speed, you slow their movement speed, it also slows their attack speed. And so now, AGT, they have some tools, but they're playing a much more slow style of gameplay that's going to be coming out from this. You are needing to get Wixie to get a lot of auto attacks out, and that's why they're starting to ban away a lot of things from Copy that can, one, disrupt Ashe's ability to position well, or two, just take these long brawls in open combat. And I feel as though Cloud9, since we have seen that Keel is already going to be going onto the Xin Zhao, now have to try and figure out what kind of magic damage threat Captain Shrimps is actually going to be playing.
Well, so far, Cloud9 Academy don't suspect it's going to be a physical damage champion coming out from him, since they do not ban away the Gangplank this time around. They're still up in the air about whether to pick and blind a champion for Shrimps or for Moose Hater. Shrimps is going to return to something a little bit more standard with this Orianna, but this gives Copy the option now to counterpick.
I think it's going to be a Kale coming up from Moose Hater almost regardless of what it is that Cloud9 picks, right? This is the kind of situation where you need to have a little bit more damage. You need to be bringing more threats because this Orianna can really struggle going up into the Silas, right? The level 3 wake up that Copy will have in this lane becomes very difficult for Captain Shrimps to try and step up with, and giving over the counter pick to Copy feels like a really tough way for AGT to try and find their advantage there. As the Akali comes through, this might be an opportunity for AGT to build something that will either really appreciate a free laning phase or maybe something that Moose Hater can be really aggressive on. And so AGT, they're kind of pushed back. They are one game away from getting locked down to the lower bracket, and they have a very traditional style composition, but they either need more damage or a front line. It's Garen.
Okay. Oh, this is awesome. I don't think I remember talking with Smacks when we casted AOE Ginger Turmeric in against 100 Thieves Academy, and when Smacks was giving me the lowdown on Moose Hater, and I remember in the big rant that he gave, it's like, I mean, Moose Hater, this guy plays everything. Plays all the top laner champions that no other top laner is willing to play. And it was like naming off blah 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 blah, Garen, blah 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 blah. And I just thought that was a meme. I was like, oh, there's no way we're gonna see Garen. But man, playing into Garen as a Akali, that sucks. That matchup is awful. You want to walk up, you get silenced by a big sword. You want to disappear into your shroud, you get shredded down by the Beyblade thing. Like, what are you supposed to do?
It's really tough for Akali to actually play this, but looking at the composition that we have coming out from AGT, they don't have a lot of ways to surprise their opponents. They don't have a lot of ways to mechanically outplay their opponents, right? It's boom, you just hit them. It's the shockwave come through, you have the Ash Arrow available. A lot of these champions are Season 1 champions or Season 2 champions, right? Just as we were talking about before, they don't have a lot of cool ways to actually play, as Captain Flowers was talking about the Skarner, but that does mean that AGT, they don't have a whole lot of ways to have counterplay against them. You just gotta go straight up. You should know how every interaction is going to go before it happens.
Well, I want to see Garen on the Rift, and I'm going to ask that we see how the laning phase plays out as we head on to the Rift for Game 2 between Cloud9 Academy and AOE Ginger Turmeric. Cloud9 Academy, one game away, series point on the line to booking their ticket to LA to playing live in the LCS studio during the Proving Grounds Finals week. And AOE Ginger Turmeric, if they want to be the first amateur team to play in a live setting ever, they have to make the comeback now.
Oh, does Darshan have shuriken flip? Yep, okay, there he goes. Making sure he gets out of that one, but I also want to point out, as we do see that Moose Hater has gone with the phase rush. Now, I'm a big fan of a streamer named Rist, R-I-S-T-E. He's a Garen one-trick, and he's been in High Diamond, Masters for years. I think he's hit GM. I don't know if he's ever hit Challenger, but this is his favorite rune on the champion. And the big reason why, it allows you to move in and out of fights so quickly. The Conqueror, you're not going to be able to stack it up against Cloud9 because you're not going to have the champions that you want to hit standing on top of you. Garen is not the kind of champion that you want to be able to just sit in the middle of a bunch of other melee champions and do damage that way. You generally won't have enough damage to come through. Garen at his best is actually kind of like a pseudo-assassin, right? You want to come out from a weird angle, you jump on top of King, you silence him, you spin on him, you dunk him, and you call it a day then and there. And so I'm expecting Moose Hater either go Stride Breaker or Trinity Force relatively early on, pair it with the crit Executioner's calling, you know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, Mortal Reminder.
Yeah, that one. And just blow people up very, very quickly. And so Moose Hater is going to be looking for these opportunities, and the first thing he needs to do is he needs to win this laning phase because he is a much better champion early on in the game than Darshan's Akali.
A little bit of aggression in the bottom lane. Just Destiny throwing a hook and getting some chip damage down while they're contesting the wave. For the top side of the map, would you believe it, Josh, that Akali Garen is a matchup I have seen a lot, not because of League of Legends, but because of Wild Rift?
I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry?
It's not exactly an interesting matchup to watch.
Well, Yeah, you're right. It's
Yeah, there's not a lot, right? Akali just sits there and is like, wah.
Yeah, I mean,
Garen's like,
that's why Akali hates her life playing against Garen. You don't get to really interact with Garen. The only thing you can kind of do. Oh, the walls are closing in, Josh. Here it comes, Captain Trips. What is he gonna flash? He flashes the root, but he still gets thrown
And King
up
too?
by Shaden.
Wait, kill him.
Captain
Okay.
Trips. Okay. King! They dedicated 4 members to the cause, but they dedicated that first blood over to the main marksman of Cloud9 Academy.
Yeah, first off, props to Destiny for getting the flash and making sure he gets the root before using the Q, because if he uses the Q, that's an opportunity for Captain Shrimps to run away. But Nautilus is also an old champion. He's been around for a long time, and he is able to use all the tools in his inventory to take down Captain Shrimps relatively early on. And as a mid laner, Mark, you see this, you just kind of go, oh. Okay, my bad, I guess, for existing. This is what Cloud9 are doing.
I just hear our colleague Alt Battery in my head going, okay, I guess there's just 4 guys mid.
Kind of cringe a little bit.
Well, Destiny's now on the run because AOE Ginger Turmeric know that there's a lot of summoner spells burned for that mid lane play, and they are here to punish. Keel now being on the Zinzao can interrupt Shaden, forcing him to use his own flash. Copy comes in with the collapse. So does King. Can they rout them off here? But Captain Shrimps is also joining the cause. And now King and Copy no longer have enough fuel in the tank to run down AGT and the Dragon.
Well, that was wild. We are not done with a lot of early game pressure in this game, and we saw so much pressure coming up from Killer, right? Going underneath the turret before flashing out, almost securing the kill onto Shaden as well on the other side of the fight, but Cloud9 were getting their aggression answered back by AGT and didn't see exactly how it started, but this is a great play. Braum and Ashe provide you so much acing power after a fight really breaks out, and they were almost able to get a whole lot more. If they pick up Shaden there, they really turn around the way that they actually play, but now they still need to come through. They still need to get Captain Shrimps into the game. They need to make sure that he is not at risk because he still has no flash.
Taking some stock now. We're almost 5 minutes into the game. A lot of action has already happened, as you called it out, Josh. We're 6 seconds away from the first dragon spawning. Normally, Cloud9 are favored to go for early dragons thanks to the power of Callista Ren Smite. But so far, there's a lot more tools, or there's a lot of things that you have to repair on the map and set up in advance before you take the dragon in the face of AOE Ginger Turmeric.
Yeah. So, as they start setting up, we do have to note that so far, Darshan has done a quite good job up in the top lane, making sure he remains in parity with Moosehater. And Moosehater is not yet really created an advantage, and as this lane is threatened to get frozen, Darshan, I mean, he plays for his lane, but he does it so well relative to so many of the other top laners, even making sure this minion holds on just outside of turret range.
The one thing that you can do into the Garen is play at range. And because anytime you get into melee's range like that, you get hilariously out-traded. But if you're able to poke out the Garen with your 5-point shurikens, it's a lot more doable. And there's no support from Keel to help Moosehater correct this freeze or get it out away from Darshan's control. So Moosehater is forced to recall while the wave is frozen outside of Darshan's turret.
Alright, Shade spending a bit of time down here in the bottom lane trying to find something. But yeah, as you said, Darshan doing a decent job playing at range, going up into Moosehater, and eventually Akali will be more of a threat, mostly to other members of the map, less Moosehater. But it is a spot where, now that Moosehater is level 6, when he starts getting his back end, probably again going for the stride breaker, he'll have that slow and his ability to keep pace with Darshan throughout a lot of these upcoming fights. It is a situation where AGT will have somebody up in the top lane that can be a win condition, because you never know when there's going to be a Garen in the bush. We all remember those days back in like Season 2, Season 3, where I felt like every bush had a Garen in it.
Dark times for us all.
Dark times.
But it was also some of the best content days as well for League. Civ HD, you know, bullying Ashe. And there is an Ashe in this game. Oh, well, but I don't think we're going to see a Warmog's Ashe anytime soon. That's
unlikely.
Unlikely.
Nor a hungry Ashe game. It's about the farm Ashe doesn't get. Well, they're doing a pretty darn good job. Wixie and Duo King have been very aggressive so far in this lane and pushing King around. I was very surprised to see the Callista coming out up against the Ashe, right? Because again, slower movement speed means slower attack speed. You can't go for the same kind of fights as you would against most other AD carries. And so, we're looking for their opportunity to come back in, but it's AGT who are starting up Dragon first.
Against the Callista lane too. Wixie and Duo King moving on over. Shaden wants to punish Captain Shrimps, but he has flash available. Shockwave pulls him, not quite into tower range. It's not going to be enough damage for lethal, but it does thwart Shaden's attempt, trading out flash for Captain Shrimps' flash.
Yeah. And so far, the lanes coming in for Cloud9, they're not having the same kind of success that we saw in the first game, right? Copy a little bit behind. We are also saying that, oh, he just goes.
Okay. Does he pick up his own Shockwave? The sombrero right on top of Captain Shrimps. Does he have enough damage? Doesn't look quite like it. Cooldown's not enough to take out Captain Shrimps quite yet.
Yeah, Captain Shrimp's very low, has no flash, but Copy putting points in the queue means that the Kingslayer does not do nearly as much damage. Instead, more focused on trying to grind out the lane. But now, Captain Shrimp needs to be very careful.
Copy still has flash, but he wants to be careful. He doesn't want to get in range of Keel. If that win becomes Lightning Connects, could have been a different story. Copy still back in lane, and Keel has a flash to match Copy's. Would be willing to trade flash for flash if he wanted to do so.
Yeah, this was a much quieter game, right? Despite the wild things that Cloud9 went for early on and the 4-man invade from AGT to try and counteract it, the rest of the game has been pretty quiet. But Darshan doing a good job building up his lead up in the top side of the map. King and Destiny have recovered a lot of the deficit that they were looking at. And Shaden, again, finding the first Rift Herald, looking for their opportunity to play. And you know, I kind of worry a little bit for Cloud9 because we're approaching that 10-minute mark where Shaden hasn't necessarily found anything to happen other than the play in the mid lane. He tried going back and nothing happened then. And I feel as though that's an opportunity for AGT to try and attack the rest of the map. They need to make sure that this Poppy is going to be as effective at least as what Perry was doing in the previous series.
What do we expect from this AOE Ginger Turmeric squad for their game plan? Because we know that there's long-range engage from this Crystal Enchanted Arrow, and we know that you can follow up with Shockwave and Glacial Fissure, but outside of that, that's it. And you have Keel on the Xin Zhao to create space and to look for plays early or to try and enable lanes so far, but as you said before, because it's been such a quiet early game, at what point do Cloud9 Academy say, yeah, if you take fights against us, we beat you now?
I mean, I feel like it's relatively soon, right? I feel like we are going to see the teams line up for the next Dragon and fight to get there first. And we really see a lot of pick tools available for AGT. Moose Hater wants to take these one-on-ones. He wants to dive on a single person. Wixie with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, the Glacial Fissure from Duo King's Braum, right? They want to take these mismatched fights. They don't really just want to line up and allow Darshan to find a lot of the flanks that was giving Insanity so much pressure earlier on in the day. This is AGT in a spot where the game really comes to a head fairly soon.
And a flash from, or Hex Flash from Shaden means that he connects onto a flashless Captain Shrimps, setting up the kill for Copy. This time, another flash being committed as well, making sure that the mid laner of Cloud9 Academy is rolling. And if this Silas is ahead, Josh, then the whole map is in danger.
True. But we do have to remember that Captain Shrimps will eventually become a threat. And as we see yet again, you know, Shaden and Copy just finding a very easy play. There's not a lot of huge room for outplays. It's more about the larger decision-making from the members of AGT. They have a lot of champions that only have 1 or 2 buttons to make plays happen. And so far, AGT have not been able to set up. It was not the top lane that was getting attacked this time. This time, it's the mid lane. But Darshan, finally level 9. Looks like he can play against Moose Hater now.
A flash from Destiny's trying to find Wixie, but he flashes away as well. Duo King getting knocked up by the death charge, but the attempt has already been made. But thankfully for Destiny, just like Shaden, willing to trade his flash since he is the support, as long as they can lock down the marksman. And Shaden making his roll on forward means that Wixie cannot participate in the fight that Duo King was looking for in the all-in against King. And King flashing away at the very last second, still goes down to the auto attack, means that Wixie and Duo King, they're turning around this fight. Destiny having gone down in the previous engage. Duo King flashes back at the slow, and the Crystal Enchanted Arrow follows up. Wixie, Duo King doing it live.
It's Wixie, it's the Revenge Tour taking down King and Destiny. Here in the bottom lane, we also saw on the rest of the map, we saw Copy go down as well. AGT just able to stand and deliver. I'm shocked. Cloud9 trying to make that play happen while King was so low. He had no HP. He couldn't walk into the play. We get to see exactly how Copy dies here, and it just comes through as Captain Shrimps. Nice play from Keel, actually, to throw out the flash when it becomes lightning to actually get there. But look at this. King, I don't actually know how he dies at the very end of that. It must have been like a minion auto attack or something, but that is just enough. With only the Poppy and the Nautilus doing damage and Braum standing in the way, it's so difficult for them to hit the target that they want to. And Wixie just standing and delivering, getting a triple kill. This is the perfect time for AGT. Wixie, yet again, trying to showcase that he can get to the top 4.
And just as when we were asking when AGT were going to strike back against Cloud9 Academy, who had been able to make such strong proactive moves in the first few minutes of the game, it's a punishment off of Cloud9 Academy overextending far forward, Wixie and Duo King believing and knowing their limits that they can fully reach out on. AGT now find themselves about 1,000 gold lead, second dragon on the table, and they're already on it.
Yep, Poppy comes around. Remember, Shaden has the Keeper's Verdict to knock people away. Oh.
He uses it brilliantly, and he's going to dodge out on the damage from the Crystal Enchanted Arrow, but he still gets stunned. Shaden trying to buy as much space as he can, but Captain Shrimps has his number. He has the movement speed. The phase rush has been procced, flashing forward, takes out Copy. Destiny has kept the dragon slightly aggroed a little longer, but AGT now have the numbers advantage to take the second objective off the map.
And there you go, another dragon going over to AGT. The advantage is small but building, coming in for the last hope of Amateur in this tournament. They find another play up in the top lane as well, and it feels as though AGT, because their composition is so straightforward, because you just have a lot of 1 or 2 button champions, when they get a lead, it becomes so much easier for them to continue building that lead. They just can deathball you at this point because they just do more damage. And now AGT walking into the bottom lane, they already are going to be threatening to take this turret, and it's on Cloud9 to try and find ways to outplay this. Remember how much flanking opportunities that they have. You already have Darshan and the Akali, level 11 at this point, and now you have Destiny coming through in order to try and make these fights happen, but do they even win? They're both down a level.
I was about to say, it's like, Destiny, I don't know if this is the engage you want. Now, Wixie and Duo King, I mean, they are stronger on paper. They have thicker wallets at this point. And if you do not get all the damage right down on a Wixie from the get-go and get all the spears locked down, that is a losing 2v2. The Cloud9 Academy have to communicate and find ways for other members to be able to come on in and say, hey guys, we can't beat them 2v2 by ourselves. We need to bring Copy over. We need to bring Shaden over. We need to bring Darshan, who has been quietly farming for the first 15 minutes of the game against Moose Hater.
Yeah, now Cloud9, they're lining up all 5 members from both teams convening around this Rift Herald. The AGT are a little bit late, and I feel as though they are going to be trying to give this up as they try and find their way in, but Heal, don't give up your life for this.
He has Crescent Guard available. Rift Herald has been secured by Cloud9 Academy. Destiny gets saved by the Fate's Call. They turn right onto Moose Hater in a flank position. Always turn onto the weakest side of the flank. That's what Josh tells me in his Art of War rants all day, every day. Darshan gets collapsed on by AGT. So 1-for-1. Both top laners having fallen to each other's teams, but Cloud9 Academy are the ones that walk away with the Rift Herald.
Good adaptation coming in from Cloud9, but as the teleport goes to the other side of the map, this is just conceding this top lane turret, surely, as AGT, they line up, they still have a lot of ults, and Braum?
Oh, they're collapsing once again, and they're down a member because someone teleported away. Copy has left them, and they were not suspecting that AGT would continue pursuing. They find 1 kill on the Destiny, looking for another one on to Shaden. Woohoo! But he's out of there.
Okay, the objective goes over to Cloud9 to pick up the Rift Herald, but they're going to be losing this top lane turret as well. AGT, again, their composition is very straightforward. Every single time people line up, you should know how interactions will go. And now, AGT, they are coming up with a pretty big lead. Now, the wins against 100 Thieves, those are a pretty big upset. But if they are actually able to turn this around and find 2 wins all over here off of Cloud9, that would be an even bigger upset coming in for AGT. But we mostly just see right? We're not seeing AGT starting to fight on their terms in the same way. It ends up being such a chaotic fight, and by the time everybody rejoins, as you called out, go towards the weaker side of the fight. Arshawn just gets picked up, and Moose Hater, because he's the one getting engaged upon instead of diving in, everybody can use their crowd control to pick him up and use that as an escape route to go towards the top side. But this teleport coming in from Copy was wild, right? It's crazy to me that you end up going for this because you know there are still 4 members of AGT. You can't afford to let your weaker 3v4 members come through at the same time.
Look how low shading gets here. Because this was so close.
Six. That is so low.
6-6.
But
Number of the beast. Shout out to Iron Maiden.
only 1-6. I don't know if that's exactly how that works, but I will give you the credit for it anyway. But now it just feels as though AGT, they are lining up. And Cloud9, right, we are kind of seeing it because some of their early plays, they only had one play go well when they brought 4 people in towards the mid lane and took down Captain Shrimps. But guess what? He's got 4 kills now. He's on Orianna. He's continuing to scale. He's going to have so much damage when he actually gets towards level 16, when he gets a couple more items underneath his belt. And the big player, Wixie, Mikey Love Fernandez, once again coming up big, trying to find his way in. And as we start lining up for this next dragon, Cloud9, they're here first, but that doesn't necessarily mean as much when you have so many engage tools on the side of AGT.
I didn't realize he had a name, Mikey Love. Is that like an alternative
He used to
IGN?
go by it, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like that.
You know, it's like Jackie Love, but Mikey Love.
Mikey Love. Okay, well, Cloud9 making the collapse through the right wing of this flank. AGT forced to collapse right back into the mid lane, retreating into this corridor. Sitting on top of the banana brush as they enter the river as a 4-man unit. Moose Hater coming from the left side, doesn't have the best flank option, but has flash available. Ghost is also coming off cooldown. If he can sneak his way all the way around the pit, he could have a flank option and just run down the back line, but Darshan is guarding it well. Copy goes in. He has stolen the Crescent Guard. Who can he punt away? It's Shaden that punts away the front line from AGT, and now Cloud9 just fully pile dive in onto Wixie. The shutdown goes over to Copy, but AGT second wind, and it is Moose Hater that picks up a double kill as he is spinning and he is winning.
All the speed coming out from AGT.
Oh no!
Destiny!
Oh, it's a triple! Destiny thought he was safe, but this Garen is so freaking fast. No, he's gonna get a
another
Quadra!
one.
He's gonna get a Quadra! Oh my god! Moose Hater, Giga Chat, baby! Quadra kill on the Garen!
You think you're safe? No, nobody's safe coming out from Moose Hater. They are 3 dragons to nothing. They find that quadra kill coming out for Garen. And just as you called out, we saw a Copy coming in with an opportunity. We saw Shaden knocking away 2 people. This was only 3 members. Wixie can't cut. Doesn't matter how well you kite. You're going to go down here. But as soon as the front line comes on back, it is just straightforward, right? There's nothing to outplay. Once they get on top of you, you're either dead or you're not. And Moose Hater chasing down multiple members. Destiny surely was looking at the shop at this point because he might have been able to get out of that one. But here, Moose Hater, he sees the Krugs. He knows King is still there. That's why he goes for it.
And Moose Hater lets it rip, man. Oh my goodness. Moose Hater, this is... Honestly, side tangent, I have loved the adaptation and the evolution of Ghost as a summoner spell in other lanes. Because we've only seen it at the beginning for jungle champions and certain mid laners, but ADCs are using it in certain situations like Zeri and Sivir. Top laners now are using Ghost, or at least Moose Hater is, because he recognizes that I don't care about teleport, I don't care about flanks, I just need movement speed, because Garen is one of the few champions, because he is an older champion from Season 1, Season 2, he just stat checks you as long he gets on top of you. But it's always been the bane of Garen is that he always gets kited out. But if you get Ghost, and with the way how Ghost works now with getting resets and the duration refreshment, oh my god, Garen becomes a freaking monster.
This makes me think of Homer Simpson too. I kind of want to make the Captain Flowers sound effects. Or it's like, I've got a chainsaw. And everybody looks in, but this time there's like, oh crap, that guy's actually got a chainsaw. He's trying to run us down every single time. But Moose Hater, he can beat up Sylas. What is Sylas going to do? Sylas has to try it and leave. Darshan has to try it and leave. These frontliners can't deal with it. They have to try and get onto Wixie. But they got onto Wixie and it didn't matter, right? You have to try and find a more devastating teamfight win, and because Cloud9, they they had one play. They did one thing this game, and AGT is able to match them at this point. I was not convinced that the standard style of play was going to work for AGT, but I feel as though Cloud9 kind of dropping the ball a little bit, and now they try and find another play, but they're going to get engaged upon. This is 2v3!
Destiny getting interrupted, but that still is not going to be enough when he has the Fate's Call at his side. Meanwhile, Darshan and Copy were looking for a dive on a move. Oh, Captain Shrimps with Kill is there to protect the play. Or Captain Shrimp's teleporting in. It doesn't matter. The play ends up in the same way. Cloud9 losing out on 2 members, and they're making the collapse. Wixie gets traded out by King, but can King get out of the situation? Not even the Keeper's Verdict is going to keep him safe in this situation. AGT, yes, they lose their bottom laner, but they still have all 4 members up. They're looking at the Baron.
They're going to take it down. Cloud9 not able to do anything. It all comes down. We got to remember, so long ago, but they gave Wixie a triple kill. Now you have to kill him every single time, but there are so many other champions that you now got to deal with at the same time. Moose Hater getting a quad kill in one of the previous fights. Wixie with that triple. Every single person is now coming to bat. And when we take another look at this, they are desperate, right? This is 2 solo laners trying to dive a jungler, and they don't even get him. It's just getting stat checked by Zinjo. It's just getting stat checked by Garen, and now the Orianna is also this huge threat. There's not a lot of ways back in for Cloud9, and it looks like AGT are poised to take us to game 3. Because even here, Wixie is getting hit by the Baron. They kill him. Hey, who cares? We got people back here anyway.
That's right. You take down Wixie, that's right, but you still got to deal with
2 Wixies take his place.
That's right. Oh no. That's the AGT mantra right there.
Kill 1 Wixie, we get 2 more of them right around the corner. But this time it's Captain Shrimps, Moose Hater picking up all the slack, and Keel. Well, he's playing again. He's playing the Zinjao.
It doesn't see them.
Spot them.
It only sees King. So Moose Hater will walk up thinking that he might be safe, but he's acknowledging the presence. The threat of multiple. You know what I mean. But AGT,
I know what you mean.
They are taking this time to push down into the mid lane. They have they understand that Cloud9 Academy might not be there to defend the turret. This is Infernal Soul that is also on the line. But if they have Baron buff, AGT can always play with the waves and say, oh yeah, Cloud9, you are forced to take the dragon if you don't want to give us soul. But we don't have to take the dragon. We could just go and push for an inhibitor or maybe even the end.
Yeah, look at how big the bounties are already coming out for Cloud9 now. Remember, Shaden also has the Keeper's Verdict. He can auto-win a smite fight by removing Keel from the smite fight, right? This is one of the ways that Cloud9 can start off one of these big engages, but they gotta get in, they gotta knock him away, and even then, you might not have the damage to win the rest of it. Darshan's trying to find a flank, but he's marked by Moose Hater.
If Darshan can't get in, Moose Hater will not be a part of the fight. But Darshan, using the first perfect execution, gets onto Captain Shrimps, doesn't find enough damage onto the backside of it. Meanwhile, King unmarked. Wixie still unmarked as well, as Copy's the only one that is threatening the back line. But it is Infernal Soul being denied by Cloud9. But there it is! Picking up speed, running out of time! Moose Hater going head to head! It's a way of life! He's gonna fall down, but he meets ground to get back up again! Moose Hater! Yo, baby! You're a Beyblade man!
It's another Flash Stridebreaker coming up from Moose Hater, and they're going to be picking up a win now over Cloud9. Wixie's revenge run is back online. We are seeing Moose Hater pop off yet again this game, taking the Darshan to task. The 5th pick, Garrett, coming up huge with his opportunity to go for it, and it's Demacia, baby, coming up, taking us to game 3.
Who would have thought that we would get to game 3 from a Garen pick? I mean, but from a Garen pick.
From a Garen pick.
From a Garen champion, bro. I mean, credit also to Wixie for holding down the early game off of, a punishment of Cloud9 overextending in the 3v2. But a lot of pressure was given over, and whenever you are ahead in the early mid game, as Ashe, as you called it out before, you have the engage tools, you have the go button, and you always get to decide, oh, okay, if we feel confident about this fight, let's go. Chuck out an arrow, see what happens.
Yeah, and the great thing, again, about AGT's composition is if you are ahead, you cannot outplay us. We are so straightforward. We are going to go forward. There is no real way for us to screw up our champions, really. We are always just going to move forward. And as soon as AGT had a lead, just started death bowling quite a bit. It was fantastic to watch them understand their win conditions. I loved watching Moose Hater on this Garen, and I wonder what kind of respect Cloud9 will be giving towards it next game. But as we look towards it, yet again, AGT upsetting our expectations. Team Liquid, I thought were our number one dog. They got taken down by Dignitas. Cloud9 was my second frontrunner for somebody who's going to make it to grand finals. But I got bad news for you, Mark.
As Desterux often says in the hypest moments, expectations be damned. And I don't know, man. I mean, Cloud9 Academy, a formidable team, but AGT pulling this win out from under them. This brings us to series point for both teams, and this is for a chance to play at the LCS studio on stage in the Proving Grounds Finals week. We're going to see what happens on the flip side after this break.
Definitely not mid. No offense. I would say Mitch is a playmaker. I'd give him jungle, or like I can see him being on like a tanky top kind of player, but I'd give him jungle. I think he has a good read on the maps and like plays that the enemy or us as a team could make, so I'll give him jungle.
We spoke about this. If Copy was to roll swap, it'd be support. It's just like, I feel like he also wants to make players.
Yeah.
I feel like he would also want to, like if you were a support man, you'd want to play Rakan, right?
I play like Rakan, Nautilus, those kind of champs.
Exactly.